You know, for all the love we give Bo Horvat, we talk about a guy who has been an NHL player for a few years and who is coming into a career season for 22-23. Goals everywhere, points everywhere, mostly goals, but he's scoring a lot. And when it comes to that type of story, it's interesting to me how this sort of thing is kind of happening just a few miles down south, down Highway 99 and eventually I-5. We're talking today about a guy on the Seattle Kraken, and don't worry, this technically isn't a Canucks video. For now. Because when it comes to the Seattle Kraken, they have had themselves a really good run. They had themselves a heater, 7 wins in a row on a road trip. I believe it's the first team in the NHL's history to score, or not to score, but to win 7 or 8 straight games on a road trip, whatever it was. I don't know. The Kraken have been breaking a lot of records. They've been doing really well. And yesterday, you saw yourselves a game between the Kraken and the Blackhawks where the Kraken scored 6 goals on 7 shots. It was really bad and unfortunate for Chicago in the process. However, when it comes to this player and his performance in that victory, the subject of today's video ended up scoring his very first NHL hat trick, which is kind of interesting because it took a really long time for this to happen. Let's head back over to the 2014 draft and take a look at a guy taken by the Vancouver Canucks, 1 pick before David Pastrnak. It is the guy who modeled his game after Ryan Kesler himself, Jared McCann. Now, Jared McCann is a guy that I freaking love, and just seeing him exhibit the amount of success that he has in Seattle, this is one of the best cases scenario that you could have seen, in my opinion. I'm really happy just to see Jared McCann do what he is doing, and to have seen him grow into what he is today. McCann, as we had said, was a 2014 draftee by the Vancouver Canucks. The pick that the Canucks used to select him in the 24th overall spot was the Anaheim Ducks first, acquired in the Ryan Kesler trade just a few months prior to. And so, with the Beninos and the McCanns coming over to Vancouver, there was a lot of expectation as to what these assets could provide the team. No more Ryan Kesler, no more Selke trophy-winning beast, and instead you have Jared McCann, who is a 6'1", 185-pound center left-wing player. He's 26 years old today. I remember after Jared McCann was drafted and you saw him suit up in Vancouver for the Q&A session they had with the prospects at the time, and McCann said that he modeled his game after a guy like Ryan Kesler. This was because he said he wanted to be a capable two-way center. He could score some goals, he could score some snipes. He had 62 points in 64 games played that season in the OHL. And when he said that he modeled his game after Kesler, a lot of the Canucks fans in the stadium, when they were doing that prospects Q&A, they all booed, and they booed quite heavily because, I mean, admittedly, a lot of Canucks fans were still trying to recover from the trauma that the Ryan Kesler situation enforced upon them, because Kesler was really forcing his hand and the Canucks didn't really get a great offer in return. I mean, they got McCann, but at the end of the day, this wasn't as much as they could have gotten. McCann, though, as the years went on, still proved himself as a pretty good player in the Sioux Greyhound system. He had an 81-point season the year after that and eventually made the Vancouver Canucks. He had 18 points in 69 games played, 9 goals, 9 assists, and a lot of Canucks fans, myself included, were kind of excited to seeing what Jared McCann would have been able to do. They had just made the playoffs the prior year with Radim Verbata and Henrik and Daniel Sedin, and Bo Horvat was a rookie. And so with McCann also entering the mix, there was a lot of excitement in Vancouver at this time. And then Jim Benning traded McCann away. We made a video about this trade years ago, back when it happened, and I was kind of freaking out saying, wait a minute, the Canucks traded Jared McCann away? Are you kidding me? Not only did they trade McCann away, but they also traded away draft picks. A 2nd and a 4th round pick got sent over to the Florida Panthers with McCann in exchange for Erik Goodbranson. Now, Goodbranson, just long story short, the guy was terrible in Vancouver. He really was. He was not effective. He was a pylon. So many turnovers, so many giveaways. The guy was slow. The guy would get turnstiled quite often. He was not effective. The Canucks brought him in because they thought, oh, he's a leadership type of guy. He could hit people, and he didn't hit people. He was big, but he never got physical at all. A lot of Florida Panthers fans, at the time the trade was made, were kind of upset that they traded Goodbranson away because, in their eyes, Goodbranson could have been seen as the next captain of the team. But they got Jared McCann in return. And eventually all of those worries went away when they saw Goodbranson doing as poorly as he did in Vancouver. Admittedly, McCann was never too amazing with Florida. He maxed out at 28 points in 68 games played. He inevitably got traded over to the Pittsburgh Penguins, where, oddly enough, he inevitably was united with Goodbranson because the Canucks traded Goodbranson over to Pittsburgh for Tanner Pearson in that similar time frame. But McCann didn't really break out in Pittsburgh either. He maxed out at 35 points in 66 games played, was capable enough to justify putting in the lineup, and especially at the dollar amount he was at. I mean, $2.9 million a season, he wasn't really the most impactful guy out there on the ice. And then he got traded over to Toronto. Not because the Penguins wanted to trade him away, but because they didn't want to lose him for nothing. The Pens traded McCann over to the Leafs, and the Leafs exposed McCann in the expansion draft, wherein the Kraken took McCann, and the rest has been history. Last year, in the first season played for the Seattle Kraken, McCann had his best year ever. 27 goals, 23 assists, and 74 games played for 50 total points. Sure, the guy was a minus 26, but he still went out there and showed off that Jared McCann had a lot of talent at this level, and he could actually produce more than we had expected him to be able to in prior years. Now, you take a look at what he's doing this season, and in 39 games played, Jared McCann has 22 goals, 8 assists for 30 total points, and he's done so in only 39 games played. The guy is on pace for 45 goals in a 79-game played season, and admittedly, only 16 assists for 61 total points. But this right here is a true emergence of a forward that has top 6 capable scoring, and who is signed on the cheap, $5 million a year till the end of 2027. I don't know about you, but if I'm spending $5 million per season for a guy that nets me 40 goals, then that's a pretty good deal. Plus the fact that he scored his first hat trick yesterday, he scored some pretty nice snipes, he's able to get these in on the perimeter, just beating goaltenders from far out with his wrist shot. Very Ryan Kessler-esque, if I do say so myself. Sure, while I don't think McCann is going to win the Selke anytime soon, there still is so much to love about this guy, his story, and his overall profile, the way he plays the game, that even though I may be pissed off, really pissed off even, that Jim Benning sacrificed this career, this potential guy, for Erik Goodbranson, who eventually became Tanner Pearson, both of whom have not really been good players for the Vancouver Canucks. You still have yourselves a player in Seattle that has really prospered, and I feel like with the extended ice time that he was able to get with the Kraken, this really allowed him to be what he is today. Like, McCann was never really this good in Pittsburgh, nor was he ever this good in Florida. I think a lot of fans of those teams would say that McCann had some problems in terms of consistency and giving his all on any given night, and just seeing those sort of fade away to the point that now the guy is on pace for 45 goals, that is incredible. Like, sure, he is on pace for so few assists in comparison, but I mean, Bo Horvat is kind of doing the same thing, right? All goals, no assists, baby. That is the new trend of Vancouver Canucks players drafted in 2013/14, except for, of course, the other guys. I mean, Jake Virtanen, Thatcher Demko, etc. You get what I mean, though. Talk to the comments on your thoughts about Jared McCann and his development, the growth that he had gone through ever since being acquired by the Florida Panthers, Pittsburgh Penguins, Toronto Maple Leafs, and now Seattle Kraken. Did you expect him to be this good with Seattle? And does it kind of pain you if you're a Vancouver Canucks fan watching this game, or not this game, but this video, excuse me, seeing him doing such? It kind of pains me, not gonna lie, because Jim Benning, yeah, I mean, he'd been making these bad trades ever since 2015, 2016, 2017. It only took him so long to get canned because, yeah, Aquilini, eh? Talk in the comments though all your thoughts about Jared McCann and the emergence of him and his career. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.